Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name's Sam. I do medically related videos, and today I'm going to talk about a topic that can't seem to leave my mind, and that is the number of qualified medical school applicants that don't get into a medical school for whatever reason. You see, I'm in the middle of a medical school application cycle, and I've been to 5 interviews thus far, which is quite a few. I'd say that's a good enough number for me to get a general feeling, or at least I don't know, draw some kind of hypothesis as to why all these applicants aren't getting in that are qualified to get in. So I've been to these 5 interviews, and my takeaway every time after I get home from an interview is that wow, most everybody here at that interview would make a great doctor someday, a great medical student, and I think that they're qualified just about as well as me to get into that school, whatever school it may have been. I really haven't seen that many applicants at interviews that just really was a turnoff for me, that looked socially inept or lacking the social skills or empathic understanding that a doctor probably needs to have, at least from my conversations with the other applicants. Um, and mind you, all these applicants, all the people that I've met at these interviews have passed a GPA screen. Sorry, they passed a GPA screen, an MCAT screen, and an extracurricular screen. They've all been sorted through by these admissions committees, and they've been selected to at least have an interview. So that begs the question, why is it that not more of these applicants that are being interviewed are accepted? Because in my opinion, those applicants that I've seen thus far with me there are very qualified, and they should, in my opinion, deserve a seat in a class. This leaves me with the grim conclusion that admissions committees and faculty and staff that are interviewing these applicants are selecting them off of subjective matters and the conversations that they have with these students, and ranking them in between each other, which, in my opinion, all of these applicants that I've met, at least, or most all, I'd say, upwards of 95%, are qualified to be in a medical school. So really what you're choosing between is subjective bias. Whose subjective bias outweighs another subjective bias? Which, to me, that's a very grim idea, and not a great outlook as to how you select applicants. Even beside my own anecdotal experience of all the interviews I attended and all the applicants I witnessed around me not getting into medical schools, you can see with statistics over time the GPA and MCAT of matriculating med students is increasing, while the number of applications is increasing at a faster rate than medical schools are opening. So this means there's more applicants for less slots, and those applicants also have a higher GPA and MCAT. So you can see that the med schools aren't opening at a fast enough rate, which then in turn is again going to lead to, okay, more qualified applicants that would have been accepted in the past, getting left out of this process. And to me, that hurts me to see, because I know how hard a pre-med has to work. I know the struggles of a pre-med. I just went through that. It's a tough, brutal process. It's a 4-year degree that we have to do, and you're mainly going to school to be a doctor. And for that to be shut down because of these standards that we place upon kids nowadays is, it's just a bad thing to me. So there are two kind of solutions that I've thought of, just baseline in my head thus far for this. And first off, so you have this increasing number of applicants, you have the increasing GPA and MCAT. To lessen that, or drop the average GPA and MCAT required to be an average for matriculant, you need more slots to open. And med schools can't just open up their doors. You can't just build a med school somewhere and make a med school and say, hey, here's a lot of new doctors coming out of here. No, that actually has to be approved by the government to open up residency spots. So Congress literally has to approve residency spots. So that would be one solution to this problem, to pass and open more residency slots so more kids can get into school. So that's one solution to that problem, but that's kind of a big idea. That's kind of bigger than all of us. Um, so yeah, that's a big out there idea. Another one, and for me, I've been saying this for years with anything that's subjective, um, to make it a more meritocratic system. So instead of basing applications more around interviews and extracurriculars and volunteer activity, I think the two things that should be weighed the most, and I'm going to get flack for this, is GPA and MCAT. Because any extracurricular or volunteer activity that can be interpreted by an adcom or any faculty member who's reading your application differently. So that's subjective. And then also how somebody sits down with you in an interview and how you gel with them and they gel with you. I know people that have had bad interviewers. That affects your outcome. So that's also subjective. The two things that really aren't too subjective is your GPA, which is also kind of varies between schools. You know, some schools are harder, some aren't, and the MCAT. So really, I think the most emphasis should be placed on your MCAT, then your GPA, and all these other things should be secondary to your application. Really, instead of all these schools interviewing 800 applicants for 150 slots, I'd say probably take 200 or 300 kids and interview them. Interview somebody if you're actually interested in them. Don't just interview a bunch of people. Like I went to an interview at a DO school that had 35 kids with me interviewing alongside of me, which that's crazy. That's too many for a day, and I just think that school is interviewing too many people, and letting their own admission system be biased by subjective bias. So my second conclusion from this video, and you can agree with me or not, or tell me below in the comments why you think this is a good thing or not. My way of thinking here, I think GPA and MCAT should be weighted more. Interviews should be weighted less. ECs should be weighted less. Volunteer hours weighted less. That's all subjective stuff. And then another way of solving this problem is open it up more residency slots. So yeah, that's my two ways of thinking about it. Yeah, thanks for watching, and I hope you have a good day. And yeah, comment below if you agree with me, if you don't agree with me, or your own thoughts on the system that we have currently. Yeah, so comment below, subscribe, and follow me on Instagram, and y'all have a good day.